Good morning again, Elizabeth Ide. I am back to read you another story from the other side of fairy tales. This story is called Believe Me, I Never Felt a Pea, and I want you to think about the original story first before I tell you. Obviously, you can see this is a princess here. She's talking about a pea. We know that it's the story, The Princess and the Pea, but this story is told by the princess. So this is going to be a different version of the original story, okay? The story is written by Nancy Loewen. On the back of the story, of course, it tells us our summary and what the story is going to be about. And it says, of course, you think I was a delicate, pampered princess blaming a sleepless night on the tiniest pea. You don't know the other side of the story. Let me tell you. So, this is the story of Believe Me, I Never Felt a Pea. Can you keep a secret? I mean, a real lips sealed and throw away the key secret? Throw it away. You can? Okay, here goes. I'm not a real princess. Shh. Yeah, I slept on a stack of 20 mattresses. Yes, it was the worst night's sleep ever. And yes, I did marry Princess Matthew. But there's a lot more to the story than that. I wonder what happened. So take a moment and think about what could be happening. What would be the other side of the story? Why is she not a princess? Why is she still able to marry Prince Matthew? And what happens in this story that she still lays on 20 mattresses, but, she didn't feel that pee. I wonder what happened. Make a prediction. That's a good guess. The first thing you should know is that Prince Matthew, Matt as I call him, wasn't all that interested in getting married. His dream? To be a successful businessman. He came up with one crazy idea after another. Creating self-cleaning horse-drawn carriages. Sorry about that glare. So there's Prince Matthew, and he's trying to come up with some crazy inventions, even though he's a prince. But the queen didn't want her son to go into business, so she thought if he were to marry a spoiled, pampered girl, a real princess, in other words, he wouldn't have time for his silly dreams. She traveled all over, testing princesses to make sure they weren't the real thing. But none of them met her approval. What do you think the word approval means? If they have to pass a certain test for the mom to like them, what does approval mean? Basically, they have to be good enough, and she has to say it's okay for him to marry the princess or not. That would not be very fun to marry someone and have to have your parent say if it's okay or not. You kind of want to marry who you want to. She traveled all over testing princesses to make sure they were the real thing, but none of them met her approval. One princess politely ate tough steak rather than demanding a tender piece. Fail because princesses must demand what they want. Another princess carried her own luggage. Fail because you have people to carry your luggage when you're a princess. Several princesses wore the same gown 2 days in a row. Oh no, that will not do. You have to have lots of different wardrobes, lots of different dresses when you are a princess. This is where I come in. And my dog, his name is Prince Super Pooch, or Prince S for short. Isn't that cute? One night, Prince S and I went for a walk in the woods. Suddenly, crack, boom, flash. A storm came up. We needed shelter, and I knew the castle was nearby. I picked up Prince S and made a run for it. What do you think's going to happen in that castle when she comes in? It's during a storm. Will they let her in? Or are they going to say, no, go away. We must test you right away to see if you're a real princess. A maid opened the door. Hi, I gasped. I'm Starla, and this is Prince S. Could we please spend the night? Ah, another princess, the maid muttered in an unfriendly way. Follow me. So do you think that maid, what's her attitude? Is she sick and tired of seeing princesses because nobody's been good enough so far? Or is she happy and glad that the princess is there? Princess. No, I'm not a princess. Prince S is the name of my dog. I tried to explain, but she didn't pay any attention. Maybe she couldn't hear me because of the thunder. The maid showed me to a bedroom and my jaw dropped. There stood a towering stack of mattresses. Excuse me, I said, but I don't need anything so fancy. Really, just throw a sleeping bag on the floor and I'm good. The maid sniffed rudely and left. What was her expression to this big stack of mattresses in the maid? She was shocked. She does not want to sleep on that. I carefully counted the mattresses. 20 in all. Prince S pawed at the bottom mattress like he does when there's a crumb under the stove he can't reach. What do you think is under all those mattresses? Stop that, I said. We're guests here. Be good. The bed was super soft and very comfortable. The sheets were as smooth as silk and smelled like a flower garden. I soon fell asleep, but not for long. Why do you think she woke up? Did she feel the pee? I don't know, because in the title it said she didn't. So why do you think she keeps waking up all the time? Why is that? I must have rolled over a little too far, because the next thing I knew, thwack! I hit the floor hard. She fell from 20 mattresses high. I hope she's okay. Beds like that should come with guardrails, maybe even parachutes. I climbed back up the ladder and spent the rest of the night staring at the ceiling. I was too scared to move. So if you fall off your bed, or especially 20 mattresses, what do you think is going to happen to you and your body? Are you going to feel good the next day, or are you going to be all bruised up? We're going to have to find out. Make a prediction. The next morning, I was tired and cranky. I hardly slept a wink. I said, see these bruises? I can't wait to go home and sleep in a real bed. The maid stared at me for a moment. Then her face lit up. Your Majesty, Your Majesty! Why is she going to run and get the Majesty, Her Majesty? Why is it so important when the princess is all bruised and saying she can't wait to go home and sleep in a real bed? This girl is a real princess, she complained about the pee. So that's what Prince S was trying to get at beneath all those mattresses. A pee? That's ridiculous. That ridiculous bed was a test. Again, Prince S is the name of my dog. I called after her. I didn't say anything about a pee. Now, while you're looking at these pages, if you can see them, I know there's kind of a little glare. There is some words in big, bold print. Those are really important words that either the maid is shouting or the princess in the story. But you know how fairy tale weddings go. There's no stopping them. Beautiful gowns appear, the castle glitters and gleams, music fills the air, crowds gather, and suddenly there I was, married to a prince. She looks kind of confused, but her dog, Prince S, really feels okay about it. Luckily, Matt and I love each other, and married life hasn't caused him to give up his dreams. In fact, we're business partners. We've been selling very successful, what do you think they've been selling? Mattresses. Say yes to the best, a princess mattress. Have a royal's night's sleep on a princess mattress. So look at them. They're a happy couple and they're selling mattresses. All right, friends, just like we know in the end of all of these other side of the story books, they are always asking us to compare, tell how the story is the same from the original, and contrast, tell how the story is different. So in the back of the story, I am going to read you some critical thinking questions, and I want you to really think about those questions. If you have never read The Princess and the Pea, then you're definitely going to want to read that right after you watch this video, or look it up on YouTube, because I'm sure that there is a YouTube video showing it. Then you'll be able to compare and contrast. So the first question I'm asking you is look online to find the story just like I told you to do. The original version is told by Hans Christian Andersen. Explain how the original story and the version you just read are alike. Explain how they are different. That's comparing and contrasting. When we talk about versions of a story, that means it's told from a certain person's point of view. The person who told the story in this book was the princess. In the original book, it was the narrator. That's called a third person. It's someone who's outside of the story, and it's usually like the author. How do the maid's actions affect the plot of the story? So remember, in story elements, the plot is usually consisting of the events in the story. It can consist of a problem, so something that happens, and a solution, something that fixes it. So how does the maid's actions, what she does, yelling about, how she's a princess, setting up the mattresses, letting her into the castle, how does that affect or change the story, change the plot? Describe Prince Matthew. So when we say describe Prince Matthew, tell me about him. Tell me, how he is as a prince, how he is as a person. We didn't get to see a whole lot of him in this story. We just kind of know that he has dreams and ambitions, and he has certain goals, as Mr. Rhodes would say. So try to describe him for me. What information about him comes from Starla? Remember, Starla is the princess, okay? So what information comes from her about him near the end of the story? What information comes from the illustrations? So remember, she's the one that told the story in the beginning also when we were talking about his goals. So think about the illustrations, which are the pictures, and how she kind of helps us to understand him as a prince. This story is told from Starla's point of view. If the maid told the story, what details might she tell differently? So what might the maid tell differently? We can kind of maybe understand her actions if she's the one telling the story. What if the queen told the story? We would probably hear a lot more about the princesses that didn't work. And how would her point of view differ? I'm kind of curious, this isn't a question, but I would maybe be curious to know the story from the prince's side of the story. The prince, because, he's probably sick and tired of his mom looking for all of these princesses, and I would love to hear about his dreams and goals and how he wants to achieve them. All right, I hope you enjoyed the story of Believe Me, I Never Felt That Pea.